the first thing that we're going to talk about is the three kinds of pricing models used in e-commerce. Okay, so let's say that you are a seller of some product and you would like to advertise your product online. Okay, in earlier days you would probably advertise your product on a billboard that is placed right next to a high traffic zone or something like that, or you would uh, have advertisements on television, especially on prime time if you can pay for those slots. Uh, the analog of doing that on the internet is to choose a website which is very popular. It could be a website like, for example, New York Times or some other news website in the Indian context. And on the front page of that website, you could have certain slots that are meant for advertisements. And so you as a seller would buy those slots so that people who come to that website would see your advertisement right on the front page. Okay. So the kind of pricing model that you would use is really an extension of what people were using earlier. It's called the cost per impression model or the CPM model. So in the CPM model, so C stands for cost, P for per, and M is the Roman numeral for 1,000. So this is the cost per 1,000 impressions. That means, so what is an impression? An impression is when a user visits that particular publisher's website and sees your advertisement on it. Okay, so this is just like, if you're driving a car along a freeway and you see a billboard advertising, say, some brand of jeans. These could be electronic billboards, then they could be physical billboards. Uh, but the way billboarding is done is the advertiser will pay for impressions. Okay, so there will be some estimate of how many customers travel through that road at a particular, over a particular period of days, and there would be some estimate of how many people would look at the billboard. So that is what is called an impression. So you're traveling along a road and you see this billboard. That is an impression. The analog of that in the online world is that you visit a website and you see an advertisement on it. That is a single impression. And in the cost per impression model, you are paying for, as a seller, you would buy a slot based on a cost that applies to 1,000 impressions. So the cost for a single impression would be very small. So usually, impressions are sold by the thousands. And the example of that, as I said, could be a newspaper like New York Times. If you go to the homepage of New York Times, you would see some advertisements on the side. You can try that. So today's paper. Actually, let's go to CNN. So you can see here that there is an advertisement right on the homepage of CNN.com. And this is what is called as a banner advertisement or a display advertisement, where somebody is buying this slot, some seller is buying this slot and paying for it. And what I just showed you is a single impression. Okay. The second model, and this is a direct carryover of the traditional model. The second model is called a cost per click model. In this model, as an advertiser, by the way, this model applies only to the internet. This is not a model that existed earlier. And as an advertiser, what you would do is you would, let me give you an example here. Let's say you're a pharmacist, you're running a pharmacy and you would like to sell your drugs online. So somebody searching for allergy medicine, for example, on Google would see a set of advertisements. So there are these advertisements at the top. You can see that they are labeled as ads, and on the right side. So these are advertisers who have advertised on Google, and they would pay they would pay Google whenever a customer clicks on a particular ad. So it's a cost per click model. They would not have to pay Google anything just for an impression. So just for showing allergy information, www.claritin.com does not have to pay Google. But if I click on it, then they just lost a small amount of money. Okay, because for every click, for every customer coming onto their site, they would actually pay Google a few cents or whatever they, that particular keyword cost. We'll look at that in more detail, but in the cost per click model, the advertiser is charged when something gets clicked, when the advertisement gets clicked. And a common example of that, as I just showed you, is search keywords. The third model is called the cost per acquisition model or the cost per action model. And in this model, the advertiser will not pay for an impression, and the advertiser will also not pay for a click. But when somebody does something on the advertiser's website, maybe somebody takes some kind of an action, either entering some data, submitting a form, or buying a product, that is when uh, the advertiser has to pay. Okay, and a simple example of that is Amazon Associates. I don't know if you know about that. So Amazon has this program where you can, if let's say you have a popular blog, you can post an advertisement for Amazon on your blog, and if somebody clicks on that advertisement and goes to the Amazon website and buys a product, that is when Amazon will pay you for that advertisement. So um they may give a certain percentage of the cost of the product to you as a commission. So that's called a cost per acquisition model. You won't get anything from Amazon just for showing the ad, and you won't get anything even if the customer were to just click on the ad. You would get paid only when the customer actually performs an action like buying a product. Okay, so these are three. So this is called the CPA model, and these are the three kinds of pricing models that exist on the internet. So the next thing that I want to do is to try to connect these models together. Okay, so suppose we know that on an average for every 1,000 impressions, 1% of the people who see the ad actually click on it. Okay, so 1% of people who see an ad click on it. So we define something called a click-through rate, which is abbreviated as CTR, and that is the proportion of people who actually click on an ad when they see it. So we say that the click-through rate would be 1%. Okay, so these are some abbreviations that you will need to remember because they get thrown a lot in e-commerce. CPM, CPC, CPA, CTR, and so on. And let's say that among all the people who click on an ad, 1% of people actually go ahead and buy something from that seller. So there's a term called the conversion rate. Um, Conversion rate, which would be the proportion of people who actually buy the product among all who click on the ad. So let's say that the click-through rate is known to be 1%, and let's say that the conversion rate is known to be 1%. So as an advertiser, let's say you're paying um, X amount of rupees or cents or whatever units you want to take in the CPM model. How much would you have to pay if you were to switch to the CPC model or the CPA model? Okay, so X CPMs. Okay, so for 1,000 impressions, if you are paying X to the publisher, by the way, note that there are three players involved here. There's the publisher who owns the website where the ad will be posted. There is the advertiser who is the seller who wants to post an advertisement on the publisher's page. And then there's the user who is uh, basically browsing the web and coming to the website of the publisher and clicking on the ad and so on. So as an advertiser, let's say your cost is X CPMs. So for every 1,000 impressions, you're paying X amount of rupees. How much would you pay if you were to switch to the CPC model? Assuming a click-through rate of 1%.
So about 100x.
And why is that?
Uh, because like about every 100 times, every 100 impressions would actually any purchase be made. So it's about the same. Like if you pay for 100 impressions, whatever you pay, if you paid for one click, it's just the same. So at least
So,
less than
so
100,
this
100
is
or less.
okay. So this is you're paying X for 1,000 impressions, and among these 1,000 impressions, if the click-through rate is 1%, how many clicks are going to result?
10.
Yeah, 10 clicks. So that means you're paying X number of rupees for 10 clicks, right? So your cost per click will be X by 10,
X by 10.
right? Yeah. So this would be equivalent to X by 10 CPCs. That means your cost in CPM is about 10 times the cost in CPCs. And what about CPA? How would you express this in terms of the CPA?
So this x by 100 CPM. So x by 1000 CPM.
X by 1,000 CPM, CPA.
CPM.
Um, so I would like you to
So CPA,
express,
CPA, sorry.
yeah,
CPA, sorry.
yeah. So if you have 10 clicks, that means 1% of those 10 clicks are going to get converted into a transaction. And so, I mean, of course, there won't be anything like a 0.1 transaction, but on an average, 0.1 transactions for every 1,000 impressions. Okay, so that means um, if you're paying X for 1,000 impressions and 1,000 impressions are resulting in zero point 0.1 transactions, that means you're paying X for 0.1 transactions. So your cost per transaction or per action will be X divided by 0.1, right? So that would become 10X, right? So CPA price, your CPA price is going to be 100 times the price, the CPC price. Is that clear? I'm just going to explain why these different models are there, but I just want you to, get a hang of what exactly these terms mean before I do that. So do you see uh, how we did this? Any questions?
So like this X CPM is like for X, we're paying rupees of X for 1,000 views, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
and for okay, for a single click you're paying X by 10,
For a single click, you're paying X by 10. Yeah.
and for
This
a
is
single so sorry sir, for a single impression it would be what, sir, then? Sorry,
for
for
a
a
single
single
impression, it will
acquisition.
be X by 1,000.
Acquisition.
Yeah. For a single acquisition, well, how many impressions on an average would result in a single acquisition? 10,000
10,000.
impressions, right? Because 1% of 10,000 would be 100. So then you would have 100 clicks and then one of them would be a successful transaction. So you would have about 10,000 impressions for a single transaction. And so the cost per transaction therefore would be 10x.
Okay, sir. Yes.
So the question is, given how we can easily interconvert between these different uh, models, why do we have these three different models? Does anybody want to take a guess? I mean, why do this ratio and proportion thing to interconvert between these models? Why don't we just have just go with CPM, because we can always express the CPC and the CPA in terms of CPM. So why have these three different terms if we can always interconvert?
Like, sir, for example, I'm just guessing, like, if Amazon is there, it's already kind of established. So it may not want to spread the word like that, but it would be benefited if people actually buy things. So they may go for a cost CPA model. Whereas if you have a startup company, they'd want to, by word of mouth or however, want to spread the name of their company. So they may go for a CPM model. And anywhere in between, you may go for a CPC model, something like that.
Okay, so inherently what you are assuming, I mean, you're along the right line, but um Amazon could, Amazon could have gone even with the CPM model, because as I said, you can always interconvert, right? So the reason they go for the CPA model is that the click-through rates and the conversion rates are actually not known. Okay, there is uncertainty associated with how many times a particular ad will be clicked. I mean, we can say on an average 1%, but really it's going to depend from ad to ad, it's going to depend from keyword to keyword and so on. There is always uncertainty associated with it. So imagine a seller, let's say you are a startup company, uh, let's say you're doing some local business selling shoes. Which one of these models would seem more appealing to you? Actually, which one of them is the most risky for you?
So CPA would be risky.
Why would CPA be risky?
So because first of all, it's a startup. Then people might not know actually how good I am at my product. So
Well,
people coming.
if you are using the CPA model, you have to pay the publisher, or the publisher could be Google, for example, because the ads are being displayed on Google's page, let's say. You would have to pay Google only if somebody comes and buys a product from your website. So why would that be a risk for you? Because if a customer is going to buy something from you, you can always give a commission to the publisher, right?
Sir, I feel that the market wouldn't be there as per my expectation as a new startup. I have to have a lot of market to make people come and purchase the products. So in that case, uh, I doubt
Okay,
CPA.
so you're thinking more about how you can get more customers. But let's say you have a stream of customers coming. Let's worry about how you'll get that traffic separately. But imagine, so let's say you were to go for this kind of a model to get more customers. Do you think this you would be effective? Let's say you're a local business trying to sell shoes, and you're going to pay, I don't know, CNN.com or some other popular website money for 1,000 impressions, and these impressions will be shown to anybody who's visiting their website. Is
Sir,
your money being spent properly?
Sir, we can do like that. For few months, we can use CPM model so that we publish our company properly for few months, 6 months span or something. Then we can switch to CPA or CPC as we get more and more customers for that impression.
Okay. But would you agree that CPM is the most risky? Because you're paying for impressions and you don't know who is actually being shown the ad. Right? Somebody could be coming to CNN.com for news, maybe somebody in the US, and you suddenly see this ad on, from a local shoe store in some other country. They're not going to, I mean, they're not, they're not the right customers for you, right? They're not going to become your customers. So
Yes.
CPM therefore is the most risky because when when you're paying for just for impressions, it's very unlikely that you're going to get many people coming to your site, because the people who are being shown the ad are not necessarily people who are interested in your product. So most of your money is going into showing your advertisement to people who may have no interest in buying shoes. So that is why this is the most risky. This is the least risky. Um, oh no. Okay, I'll need to create a new file. So CPM is the most risky and CPA is the least risky. Why is CPA the least risky? Because you only have to pay the publisher when somebody actually buys a product from your website. So you're not going to lose any money on advertisements because you're only paying when somebody is buying something on your website. And CPC is intermediate. Okay, there is some risk. Okay, why is it less risky than CPM? Because your advertisements are only being shown to people who have clicked on, you only have to pay the publisher when the person clicks on your ad. And if the person clicks on your ad, it is likely that the person has an interest in you, right? So you're only paying the publisher for people who are actually who have actually expressed interest in visiting your website. So it's less risky than CPM, where you have to pay for, showing the advertisement to, random people. But there is some risk in CPC also relative to CPA, because it's not necessary that somebody who comes to your website will necessarily buy a product or will necessarily make a transaction. So it's less risky, it's more risky than CPA because you may lose, the money that you're spending on advertisement. Especially, as I said, you may not know what the CTR or the click-through rate or the conversion rates are. So there will be some risk in whatever price you're paying for that particular advertisement to the publisher. Is that clear to everyone? Now I want somebody to tell me what which is the most risky for the publisher among these three.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
For publisher, I think CPC is most risky.
Okay. Why is CPC? Let's say we take CPC and CPA. Why is CPC more risky than CPA?
Because as a publisher, I'm publishing the advertisement on my page, but and I'm getting the money. But it's not always that a person who is clicking will always buy it at the end of the day.
Okay.
But so I think it
So that
would be
means,
like
so
if
what
people.
your reasoning is pointing to CPA as the most risky, right? Because you're saying people who click on your ad may not necessarily buy it, and it's only when somebody buys it that you'll get paid by the seller or by the advertiser, right?
Yes, sir.
Whereas in CPC, you're going to get paid whenever somebody clicks on the ad. In CPA, you're going to get paid only if somebody clicks on the ad and then goes and buys the product. So this is actually more risky than CPC. What about CPM?
So it would be least risky for the publisher because you're getting paid every time somebody views your page.
Yeah,
So it's
exactly. So every time you show an ad, you're getting paid for it. So there is no uncertainty for you, right? Just like there was no uncertainty for the advertiser under the CPA model because the advertiser only has to pay when somebody is actually buying the product. And as we just saw, CPA is the most risky because if you're going to show advertisements and get paid only if somebody clicks on the ad and then buys a product on that site, that means most of the ads that you're going to show are not going to give you any money from the advertiser. Right? The advertiser is only paying if somebody buys the product. So this is the most risky for the publisher, and this is intermediate. Right? Why is it intermediate? Because it's more risky than the CPM because in CPM, everybody who is shown the ad, every time you show the ad, you're getting paid. In CPC, only when the ad is clicked are you getting paid. So it's more risky for you to show that ad. And it's less risky than CPA because you're getting paid whenever somebody clicks on the ad, even if they're not performing a transaction. So imagine, let's go back to the internet now. And let's say we look at uh, something like Google search. Okay. As you saw, in a typical Google search, when somebody searches for a product like allergy medicine, they're being shown ads. So these are the algorithmic results. Okay, so these results are being shown based on what we have discussed so far in the course. Okay, based on the ranking algorithms, which will purely look at the quality of the documents and the quality of the match between the query and the document. Whereas these advertisements are being shown based on a different kind of a criterion. Okay, so somebody who is not willing to pay Google anything is, that advertiser is not going to qualify for his advertisement being shown here. Obviously the advertisers will need to come to some kind of an agreement with Google that this is what we're going to pay you for showing these ads. Now if let's say that the risk needs to be divided between the advertiser and the publisher, which model would be the best?
so CPC. So
Yeah, CPC, because there is some risk that Google is taking, and some risk, okay, some risk that Google as the publisher is taking, and some risk that the advertiser is taking.
So,
Okay. Yeah.
so, so like, would this like CPM also be may turn out bad for unprofitable for the publisher also, because the customer may also see like ads and he may get irritated that why are there so many ads, kind of thing.
Yeah. You're saying this could be bad for the publisher if the exactly. So if the customer gets irritated, uh, then you're not going to get that customer coming to your site again. Yeah, that's right. But there are all kinds of websites that just make money out of showing junk advertisements. So uh, I mean, they care more about traffic. They don't care about customers. As long as they get some traffic in some way, uh, you know, uh, they'll make money. Anyway, so CPC is what divides the risk between the publisher and the advertiser. Now, from the publisher's point of view, the risk is just that people who click on the ad may not actually, um, from the publisher's viewpoint, the risk is that somebody who comes to that site may not actually click on the ad. Okay, that is the risk that the publisher is taking by going for the CPC model instead of, say, CPM model. But if the publisher is intelligent enough to show the right kind of ad to the person, then the publisher will be minimizing this risk. Right? So this minimizing this risk is in the hands of the publisher. Right? It's in the control of the publisher, because if the publisher can show the right advertisement in a targeted way, then the publisher will be minimizing the risk, and that is something the publisher can himself or herself work on. Similarly, the risk that the advertiser is taking is that people who actually click on the ad may not actually end up buying anything, and still the advertiser will have to pay. But again, minimizing this risk is in the hands of the advertiser, because the people who are coming to the advertiser's website by clicking on the ad have are known to have expressed some kind of interest in the in the product, or at least in that website. So now it's in the advertiser's hands to ensure that as far as possible the customer's interest can get converted into some kind of a transaction. So you can see that this CPC model is not just dividing the risk between the advertiser and publisher, but the type of risk that each has to take can be minimized by each party by controlling the factors that are responsible for that risk. The publisher is, can it's within the domain of the publishers. It's within the publisher's domain to try and minimize or to try to ensure that ads that are shown will get clicked. If they are not being clicked, maybe they're not the right ads to show. So the publisher has to work on showing the right kinds of ads, and the advertiser has to work on ensuring that the people who are known to have clicked on the ads can actually end up buying the product.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, I had a doubt. If we take a CPA for publisher, they know that it's the most riskiest job. So why do they want to include that particular job? Let's say that particular space can be allotted to CPM also, right? So that they can earn more than the CPA.
Yeah, so the kinds of publishers, so as I said, Google will not go for the CPA model. Google will go for the CPC model. What kinds of publishers will go for the CPA model? Let's say you are an amateur blogger, okay, and you have nothing to lose because you're not getting any traffic on your website. So if you agree to say become an associate of Amazon, then you can show Amazon's ads on your blog, so that people who go and click on Amazon's advertisement and end up buying a product from there will end up paying some kind of a commission to you in buying that product. Okay, because part of the sales will come to you. So as a publisher, you you are not in control, right? So you are sort of giving in to the advertiser because you want to make some money, and the advertiser is somebody who wants to take the least risk. Okay, so the advertiser would like a CPA model, and as an amateur blogger, because you don't have any, you know, control or influence over the advertiser, you may agree to go with the CPA model. Does that make sense? Because
Yes, sir.
whatever little money you'll get is, you know, good enough for you for to start with. Of course, if your blog becomes highly popular, let's say your blog becomes so much in demand that people are automatically coming, you know, visiting your blog. Let's say you're getting millions and millions of readers on your blog, then you can go and demand uh, something like a CPM based pricing from people who want to advertise on your blog. Like let's say you become the owner of some popular news website. Then you can charge advertisers based on CPM, which is least risky for you. But you know, since you're already so popular and it's because they want traffic, you can actually drive traffic to their website by um, going for the CPM model. Any other questions?
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, in case of CPA, are you paid more for advertising that particular brand, or is it the same amount you get paid for CPM and CPC? Because CPA is a much more, what do you say, confirmed that only when you purchase a product you get the payment. So
Yeah.
is it more in case of CPA as compared to CPC and CPM?
Yeah, you'll get paid more in general if you go for the CPA model as the publisher. But the downside is that you'll get, you know, this transaction will actually happen very, very infrequently.
Hmm.
But when it happens, you'll get paid more than, you know, what you would have gotten paid if it was, you know, a CPM model, what you would have gotten paid for a single impression in the CPM model. Because a transaction is a lot more valuable for the advertiser than just an impression. And so the advertiser will pay you more for an actual transaction than just for an impression. Okay, so um, can you think of a way by which you can actually make money by buying advertisements using the CPM model from one website and then selling it to some other website using the CPA model? There are actually businesses who make money this way. They will pay very small amounts just to get traffic on their website, and but once they get traffic, they are able to divert that traffic in very, very targeted ways to different sections of their website so that the advertisements that are shown in those sections will be targeted. And because they will be targeted, you can go for the CPA or the CPC model and get paid more from those advertisers. So you're acting as um, an advertiser for one publisher, and then you're acting as a publisher for some other advertiser. You think about how, yeah, you know, what under what conditions that would be possible.